It's a beautiful thing to watch God moving right in front of us, to watch transformation happen on a daily basis, to celebrate what we just celebrated last week with Marissa. Like it's a beautiful thing to watch Jesus do what he does, to live an empowered life with his presence. When Jesus was with his disciples, the moment before he leaves to go meet with his Father and sit with him and advocate for us and empower us, he turns and he says this in Acts chapter 1, verse 8. He says, "But you will receive power. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth." See, Jesus is intent to send and empower his followers to go represent him everywhere they go. The language he uses is to witness of him, like to be as if you are sitting in court testifying to what you have seen and heard about the one that we follow. And absolutely, what we testify to is the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. But just as much so, and maybe even more so, what we are able to do is point to the transforming power in our lives because of it. Like quite literally, we become a people who move from rebellion to a people who think and act like the one that we follow. Galatians 5 paints this picture of it. It paints this picture, this dual competing picture of life that is defined by rebellion to God versus life that is defined by the presence of his Spirit in us. And he calls it the fruit of the Spirit, the results of this gift of God being in our lives. And the hallmarks of that are love and joy and peace. People who look and act, think like the one that we follow. And Journey, you don't have to go very far to see Jesus doing, like this is what he does. This is the result of his life with us. Like specifically, look at the ones that he's talking to right here in Acts chapter 1. He's got his 11 disciples who were left. And he's talking to them and telling them what's about to, like he's telling them, it's about to come. Here we go. Remember who they were. One of them was a guy named Matthew. He was a tax collector. What that means is he was a traitor to Israel. He worked in cahoots with the Roman government, and he was an untouchable for them. And now, what we see from Matthew is not only is he one who is following him, he becomes someone who writes the story of Jesus specifically so that the Jews who he had been traitors for would come to faith in the one that he follows. That story is called the Gospel of Matthew. From rebellion to one who thinks and acts like the one that he follows. Then you got James and John. You remember them? They're some of my favorites. You know that story when they were traveling with Jesus and they moved toward a Samaritan village, and that village doesn't want to accept them. And so James and John's response is to ask Jesus if they could call fire down from heaven to just blow them all up. Like Jesus called them the sons of thunder. And John became known as the disciple of love. Go read his letter, 1 John. It's all about love. from rebellion to one who thinks and acts like Jesus. What about Peter? Remember, Peter's the guy that because of his fear, when Jesus was arrested, he denied even knowing him 3 times. And we're in Acts chapter 1, the very next chapter. Peter, that same guy, is standing up in front of the multitudes, declaring the name and wonder, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, inviting all to come. From rebellion to one who thinks and acts like Jesus. This is what he does. And not only is it the result of the Spirit being in our lives, Jesus himself tells us, my Spirit, my presence, it's doing this all the way through with you. He tells his disciples in John chapter 16, he said, when the Spirit comes, it will convict you of sin. It will help you realize what your rebellion is and move you towards submission to me. He will also, in John chapter 14, he tells them, he says, the Spirit will constantly teach and remind us of everything that Jesus has said. And Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 that the Spirit is equipping and gifting and sending us into work in his name. Like Jesus is intent to not just send us, but to give us everything that we need along the way. From you first coming to faith and then expressing it into the world. And so we are sent. We're sent as people right where we are. And Jesus says, but it's not going to stay right where we are. You're going to represent me in this way, in increasing ways, to the ends of the earth. And he starts with where they were in Jerusalem. And they lived together in transforming community in that city and changed the world starting from there. And Journey, we do the same. We witness of Jesus in our Jerusalem through transforming community. That's how we do life together here. And I want to tell you, it is a beautiful thing watching God erupt in his Spirit through us in real time. Just yesterday, we launched a new community here at Journey. It's called the Entrepreneur Community. It's led by Dan Bryant. They meet on the first and third Saturdays of the month, and they meet up here. And this is what this community is about. They are about connecting with business entrepreneurs and helping to support their work, but helping them to make sure that Jesus is present in what they do as they live in the city around us. How beautiful is that? There you go. They want to invite you in if that sounds like you. There's another opportunity I want to make you aware of. This community's been around for quite a while, and this past year, they just finished up a year-long Bible study through Scripture and are launching a new study. It's called the Binder Community. They meet on both Mondays and Tuesdays, and they're launching a new study that is called He's Where the Joy Is. And they want to let you know if you're new around here and you don't have a community yet, please come. Like this is how we witness to each other and then begin to lift our eyes to the world right where we are in our own Jerusalem. But Jesus turns to his disciples and he says, but we're not going to keep it there. Like this isn't just for Jerusalem. We're going to extend this wherever we go. And he pushes them toward Judea. Judea is their extending area. Judea is the geographical area outside of Jerusalem, and it is largely made up of Israelites. It's largely made up of people who look like them, who think like them, who practice the religion in similar ways. They were their people. He says, you're going to go to them. And Journey, we are intent to lift our eyes beyond these walls and beyond the four walls of our homes and our communities and do the same. And I want to point you to one place for that today. We have a partner in our immediate area that when you think about our Judea, maybe you think about China Spring and Bosqueville and moving into greater Waco. You can draw a circle around our immediate area, and that we have a partner that we tithe to on a monthly basis called China Spring Cares that helps us do that. What their mission is to physically step into the needs of families who are struggling and aren't as advantaged and who need some help in our area. I want to tell you, just this past 2 weeks, there was a family in our immediate city that lost their house because of a fire. And we partnered with China Spring Cares as well as some other followers of Jesus in our city. But I want to tell you, just in our family over the last 2 weeks, you guys have given over $4,000 for that family to address their needs. This is who we are. This is what we do. It is a representation of the heart and wonder, the character and the nature of God. It is people thinking and acting like Him. But we're not just called to Jerusalem and Judea. We're called, just as the disciples were, to Samaria as well. Now, Samaria is not Judea. Samaria is a different people. They might say, not our people. It was a region that is just north of Judea and just south of Galilee, and it was defined by people who centuries before were Jews who intermarried with the pagan people around them and distorted their religion and their faith. The Jews looked at them as untouchable, detestable, quite honestly, religious traitors. They would not travel through their region, much less associate with those people. And Jesus says, I'm sending you there too. It's like Jesus says, the kingdom that I'm establishing is going to run right through those barriers as if they don't even exist. You remember the story, right? When Jesus intends to travel through Samaria instead of around it and stops at a well and meets with that woman. This woman at the well, she was a Samaritan woman. No God-honoring, self-respecting Jewish man would have been caught dead there. And Jesus, not only was he not worried about his reputation there, I believe he wanted this to be his reputation. That he is one who sits with the untouchable, who loves the broken and says, you are welcome at my table. And so the followers of Jesus who are becoming people who think and act like him, like we're sent to Samaria too. I want to tell you, we are committed to do that with you, and we want to invite you into ways to partner. Just recently, we as a church family have initiated 2 new partners that we are tithing to missionally every month. Part of what you give goes to these places to be able to represent and witness in our Samaria. One of those is CareNet. It is a ministry right here in Waco that is designed to care for women and men who find themselves in a crisis pregnancy situation, and to walk alongside them in love and presence and help them to make a decision that is God-honoring. We want to invite you to engage there, not just with your money, but with your time and your presence as well. There's another ministry that's dear to our hearts and that has been around for quite some time. And there's some new things going. It's called Journey to the Streets. Journey to the Streets is about bringing the presence and the hope of Jesus to the streets of Waco, to people who are struggling, to people who are homeless, to people who are in addiction, to people who may not look like us, but who Jesus says are his people. Take a look at this video.
Hey friends, this is Phyllis, the founder of Journey to the Streets. You may have heard about our ministry, but you may not know exactly what we do. Well, today we're going to show you what it's like to come out on the streets of Waco and be the hands and feet of Jesus and share God. We would love for you to come and join us anytime with your family. Come as an individual. Bring your community group. We would love to have you out here. It's amazing and it's a life-changing event. We can use your help each step of the way. We start preparing for our weekend by gathering supplies.
We're here.
It takes multiple trips to get what we need. We could use volunteers who pick up and deliver curbside. If you're interested in participating in this, just shoot me an email at phyllisans@aol.com. We could sure use your help. Thank you. On the third Friday of each month, volunteers meet in the kitchen at Journey Christian Community at 4 o'clock to make sandwiches. We pack 150 bagged lunches with fruit, chips, 2 sandwiches, and bottled water and cookies. More helping hands makes the work go quicker. We'd love for you to come help with this process. Be sure to park in the back and come through the back door. We caravan to several locations downtown. This is where we pass out the sack lunches, share other resources, pray, and we just share the good news. If you're interested, come with us because it's a mini mission trip in downtown Waco. We encourage you to come see what God is doing on the streets. Meet us at the Myers Center, 9 o'clock on the third Saturday of each month. It's at 1226 Washington. We'll be in the parking lot in the back on the Austin side. Check in with me, Phyllis Shouse, to see where your service is needed. To get more information on our specific dates and volunteer opportunities, you can check us out at journeytothe-streets-waco.org. We hope to see you at our Journey to the Streets event soon.
Well, guys, this is Phyllis Shouse, and this is Mandolin, Shannon. And I am thrilled to present them to you today and for us to talk about Journey to the Streets. Ladies, Samaria. It's best described as not our people when you're looking at it from the perspective of Israel. People who might look different than us, who might think different than us, who might value different things, but who Jesus says, "You are my people." And I'm going to invite you in. So, you're the one that's supposed to be doing this, not me. Phyllis, can you kind of close the gap for us a little bit and tell us a little bit of the backstory of how Journey to the Streets got started? I remember coming down and meeting with you at your shop. Was it called the Vintage Hippie? Maybe 10 years ago or so, when all this began. Tell us about that environment and how this mission, how it got started.
Well, it was very interesting. We had a little shop down at River Bend that was called the Vintage Hippie. And the first person that I met that was homeless was a lady named Jana, and she came into the shop. She really wasn't homeless at that time, but she'd been homeless. She was in an apartment. We serve people that are homeless, that are in apartments, in motels. There's a lot of them that are sometimes in a motel just for a few days, just to get a reprieve from the weather and stuff. But anyway, she came in and she was selling some of her art. And I said, okay. She said, well, I need to sell this because I don't have anything to eat. She said, I need to go buy me some rice and beans. So I bought some of her stuff, and she came back in again, and we became friends, and we're still friends today, which is very interesting because one time, she's told me that I'm her only friend. She said she's been schizophrenic, and she's bipolar, and she's realized it when she was 9 years old. So she's never fit in with society, and she has a really hard time with all of that. But we've become friends, and she goes in and out of homelessness. She's a veteran. She got fully vetted, not vested. Is that what it is? Vested a few years ago, but she still struggles with homelessness because she doesn't know how to handle her money or take care of the things that she's doing. So, and she has learned about Jesus from us. She grew up in a home, she knew about it, but her mental capacity is so different from ours that she overthought everything. But she has become a Christian, and we're really excited about that. But anyway, then we moved down to downtown 17th in Austin before Magnolia. We were just open 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And so the homeless people started coming in. It was like really hot. And so they would start coming in and they would ask, do you have a drink of water? Or some of them would ask, do you have any jobs for me to do? Do you have something to do? We actually hired one of the homeless girls who came in and we let her clean and do things for us. But we we decided to start a ministry down there. I grew up with a Girl Scout mother and a mother that ran the Latin American Christian Center, which is a United Way organization. So I've served a lot, not necessarily with God involved, but I did learn how to serve people who were less than us. And so that's where it all came from. And she used to make burritos and hot sauce. When they were doing fundraisers. So I learned how to make potato and beef burritos. So that's what I thought I'd do. I'll just start doing that. And then the homeless people kept coming in. We fixed them a table in the back because we wanted them to feel like they were somebody. Got a refrigerator where they could come in and get their own water if they wanted some, something to drink. And that went on for a year. We got involved with another ministry, You Matter Ministries, which y'all may have heard of, in Harvest Revival out in Robinson, and they were feet on the ground where we were just right there. So they had heard about us. Words spreads pretty fast on the streets. And so they came in like, what are y'all doing, and we told them what we were doing, and they said, well, would you like to join us? We could use some help. Could you make us some sack lunches? So we started doing that, put them on the tables. People were coming in and they're like, what are y'all doing back there? Because we had our little lunches lined up and everything. And we said, well, we're making sack lunches for the homeless. For the homeless? Really? I've always wanted to do something with the homeless, but didn't know what to do. Well, we didn't either. But anyway, I said, well, this is what we're doing. It's really easy. There's not a whole lot you have to do. And they got involved by, sometimes they bring us a piece of furniture or something to sell, or they come in, well, can we donate? So I just got a little envelope and wrote blessings on it. And that's how it all started, with getting the money and everything coming in. People would just donate. I've never had to ask for money. It's always come. I have wonderful friends here, wonderful friends from high school that are still, sending me money. It's mind-boggling what God can do. But what happened to me was, while I was at Vintage Hippie, I had to go make jewelry, and I had to go. A lady didn't pick her jewelry up for her family on Christmas Eve, and so she said, can you come down to the shop? I said, okay, I'll meet you down there. Met her down there. Had another couple we called Romeo and Juliet. We've got kids, young. These kids were like 16, 17 years old. And they had started coming into the shop, and we had been ministering to them. And they came up and they were peering in the window, and I said, come on in, and then we took care of them, got them something to eat for the day. And then I came outside, and my little friend Jana was walking down the street, but I didn't recognize her. It was cold that day, and she looked like a hobo. That's what she looked like. And she walked up and she said, Phyllis? And I said, Jana? And she said, yeah. She said, what are you doing down here? I thought you were going to be, with family today and stuff. And I said, oh, I had to come down here to do something. So I got in my car, we said our goodbyes. And she had gone on down. She's in front of the library. I pulled out. She's in front of the library. I rolled the window down and I said, here, Jana, here's $10. And, $10 doesn't mean a whole lot. It meant a lot to her, but to me, it broke my heart that I was going to have a meal with my family and stuff, and I'm giving her $10. Anyway, she was thankful. She was thankful. Anyway, I drove on down and I turned to go home, and God hit me, and I've never been hit before, but God just sent these tears that I have right now. He just sent these tears to me, and I just pulled over and I stopped and I was like, oh my gosh, what do you want me to do? I know there's so much more that can be done down here. Jimmy Durrell is taking care of all these people down here in Mission Waco. I know I'm just little, but what can I do? And I just wept and wept, and I just knew there was something else that needed to be done. I called my kids. This is what they were like, you're going to get killed down there, Mom. And I said, no, I feel a peace and protection with the decision I'm making. And then my oldest daughter was working at, she was doing CAT scans down in Houston, and she was called in on Christmas Eve too to do a CAT scan on a young boy. And his mother had been there praying, and she was walking up and down the hall praying. And this is the same day. I mean, this is the same time. And so she said, Mom, the mother came in and told me, she said, I don't know why, I don't know your mom, I don't know anything about you, but God has told me to pray for your mother right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, well, it's meant to be. That was a true experience that I had from God that day. And it just went on from there. We made the lunches for a while. After we closed the shop, then I could be hands and feet on the ground too. So I started going out. We joined up, and I took 2 weeks at first, but I do 1 week now. We have what we call, we didn't say that first time, we have a street ministry. Somebody's out there every Saturday. So they know we're coming, and it's different churches, different groups, but we're out there. And we meet at the Meyer Center, and we caravan around, and we make the lunches over here now, because this is where it is. And if you had been here Friday with us, we just went out. We had at least about 40 Baylor students that came and did our lunches for us on Friday. They're going to be back. They came and led worship with us. It was so exciting yesterday. And then, anyway, that's what it is. We like to go out and talk about Jesus. We like to pray with them. We like to get to know them. I worked at the Salvation Army doing crafts to get to know some of them, because I could sit there with them for an hour to an hour and a half, and you get to know where their heart is, what they're thinking, what they need. And that was a really cool experience. Mandolin has joined with me.
Yeah, let me bring Mandolin in for just a second. Mandolin, you actually got first connected to Journey because of this ministry.
That's right. That's right.
Tell us a little bit about that story and how you've seen over the last couple of years, how you've seen Journey to the Streets kind of grow into what it is today.
So I got involved with Journey to the Streets in 2019. I came to Journey specifically to meet Phyllis because I had heard about her street work and I wanted to get involved. And since then, we formed a great partnership where Phyllis is strong, I'm weak, and vice versa. So we really support each other well. And one of the things that we do now is make a prayer guide that we take out on the streets and we pass it out. It's got prayers and scriptures. And so it kind of started mostly as food, and now we've got a real strong component of sharing God's good news. Everybody leaves with some scriptures and prayers that they can take back into their tent. We've heard people talk about how they keep them. They have them in their backpacks. They pull them out and look at them. We also spend a lot of time in prayer with people out on the streets now and get to see a lot of great things, prayers answered, sometimes immediately when we pray them. So it's awesome to be out there like that.
So this is for either or both. Ministry's messy, right? Mm-hmm. And going to Samaria, right? Go into environments that are different. than us that challenge and push us and stretch us. How do you measure success in this ministry and Journey to the Streets? How do you know when you've left that God was there, we're doing exactly what he's asked us to do?
So you're right. It is Samaria, and sometimes it's quiet. And like, what am I doing in this place? And I just tell God, well, thank you for leading me here, and give us the words to say. And we know that we're successful because just yesterday, people sometimes bring really obscure things out onto the streets, and we're wondering, why did they bring these reading glasses? Or yesterday, we had someone that brought infant formula, and in homeless camps we don't often see infants, but yesterday we ran into a lady who had a 4-month-old child with her, and the guy who had the formula said, hey, could you take this? And so when we see something like that, somebody that brings a suit with them, we don't normally have people in homeless camps or shelters who want suits, but we have a random suit and somebody asks, do you have something that I can wear to a job interview next week? And the suit is that person's size. We know that God is there right then in those moments. And
Oh,
you can go to that guy who told you I'm studying the Bible now.
Oh, Brandon. Oh my gosh. This guy I met, this guy I met, I mean, oh my gosh, he was on drugs. I mean, he couldn't even sit. We're at a dock. We go under the bridge, we go in alleys, we go wherever. I mean, we're there. Besides our just regular stuff, if you come with us, you don't have to do all that stuff. But anyway, the bridge you do. But anyway, so he's sitting on this dock, and we had some food, and I went over, and he couldn't even sit up. I mean, he was like this. So I set him up. I said, you're going to eat something. It was hot that day, and they'd been out in the sun. And so I set him up, and he'd kind of go this way and that way. So this was like 4 years ago. So I run into him every once in a while, and I had seen him like 3 months ago, and he had gone past us. We go to a place at 11 the Clay, just a field, and he just walked right past me. And I was going, okay. And so some circumstances came up, and I ended up the night before the snow and all that stuff hit this last time, and I was down at the Salvation Army, and he was out there. They were waiting to go in. He has the teardrops and all the stuff on the stuff on his face. He had a blanket pulled around him, and he walked up to me and he said, I don't think I know you. I looked at him. He said, you know what? You fed me. And I was like, he'd shaved his head. He pulled the blanket off. He'd shaved his head. I didn't recognize him. And I looked at him first. I said, oh my gosh. And he said, I'm saved. And I was like, what? And he said, yes. And he said, I'm going in. I've got my Bible, and I'm going in. They were fixing to go into the shelter that night, and I'm fixing to go read the Psalms. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, well, hold on. And I had to go back about this.
He's sober too.
He's sober.
Saved and sober.
He's saved and sober. And so I pass out these necklaces all the time, these little cross necklaces. I think I've done 1,700 of them at least. And I use them as a ministry tool. They have a scripture with them. And I ran back to the car and got him a necklace. He turned around and let me put it on him. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. But just little stuff just means so much. And they pass them out to other people too. Mm-hmm. They do. They'll take them off. If they see somebody in need, these people are amazing down there. I know everybody thinks they're invisible and they don't have feelings, but they have so many feelings, and they want to share what they know. They have more faith than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know how they have the faith that they have, but anyway. So this time I was passing some. I had some, and the girl said, "Oh, can you give me another one?" Because I just gave mine away. And then they like to see what the scriptures are, because they have different scriptures on them. And it's so cool, because even when I pass them out to people, I pass them out everywhere. They'll say, oh my gosh, they'll look at them and they'll say, God, this is something that I needed to hear. And I'm like, I just randomly pull them. I just randomly pull them out. So that's pretty cool too.
When we witness to Jesus, we witness to his life, his death, and his resurrection. But so much a part of that, we witness of the power of that creating transformation in our life and theirs. Jesus and his kingdom is alive. And we have a beautiful mission and opportunity from him, empowered by his presence, to take that everywhere we go. From Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria. We want to invite you in. We want to invite you to join us in that, specifically even in this ministry. There's a couple of things that I want to point you to up here on the screens. Every third Friday, they meet up here. They said just this weekend there were 40 Baylor students helping. You can come up here on Friday and help pack lunches.
We don't always have 40 Baylor students.
Sometimes it's 2 or 3 women.
Yep.
You can support this work in this ministry just by doing that. You can also bring your entire family. Just a few months ago, I brought my family. Reagan was home from college, and so Kristen and Reagan and Bryson and I went out and spent a day with them. I want to tell you, the way that they set this up, it is something that I'm very comfortable with bringing my own kids. You can engage in this. That's the third Saturday of every month, and that's the address right there, 1226 Washington Avenue. They meet at 9 o'clock in the morning. There are other ways that you can serve too. You can serve by giving money. Journey is tithing to this ministry, along with many other places that we tithe. But you can serve by giving other things as well. Bibles are a big deal. They love to hand out Bibles to people on the streets. Socks, you said, are really important. Sometimes building hygiene kits is something that can be used and needed. Ladies, we're going to run into the end of our time, so let me just close with this. What's a word of encouragement that you would like to give our family here at Journey about this ministry?
Pass it to Mandolin.
So for me, one of the things that I love is being able to witness God moving and watch the transformation in people's lives that are in dark places and being able to share the hope of Jesus with them. And it's transforming for them, but it's transforming for us as well. And so that would be the encouragement, is come get involved and see what, you might think you're going there to serve other people, but I guarantee you that you'll get filled up with the Spirit out there too. So we'd love to see you join us.
Awesome.